He a cuss and get him blast hand there though.
Yeah, cause Barbados today, the nation too love to got something about. See what you do to people?
You mean, love to got you in the media for truth.
It's not the newspapers per se. The Nation was a case of just not normal, but misreporting at one point. Mm-hmm. But recently, Barbados today, there was some new Facebook accounts that popped up on a story that was written about some comments I made regarding the central bank report. And all they were saying was, all right, for the last couple of years, all it was saying was things were wrong, certain things were wrong. The irony is that I haven't been wrong just yet in terms of my predictions. I've been trained just like others at KFL to see these things. The difference is a lot don't speak about them.
Right. Because you're an economist and that's what you're supposed to do.
Yeah, but most economists don't speak. The typical, the way they teach us is to, I'm going to be balanced. And I am. I don't allow, if I have any politics, my politics to get in the way of my job. Is like a doctor looking at a DLP doctor looking at a BLP patient and saying, you got that though. But there's a Hippocratic oath, a creed or oath or whatever they call it, that makes sure that you pay attention to whomever, despite what their connotations or their background is. And that's the same approach that economists tend to take. So on Barbados today recently, some people started commenting saying that I have nothing to offer, but yet I had to remind them on a post, a lot of people on a post, of several solutions I offered for the last 7 years I've been speaking.
Right.
So, it's just silly season right now, and the other attacks is mainly political. Of course, if you're challenging the status quo, you would know this, you would know this. Mm-hmm. Once you're challenging the status quo, even if you're doing it for your own selfish motives, or even if you're doing it because it's a professional, exactly, or for your profession,
you can get attacked.
You will be attacked.
You can get pushed back. You can always get pushed back.
Stephen, because I don't have any partisan party, I voting for cunts. CUNTs.
That's a real thing?
You didn't hear about that party that come up?
I heard about Nat Lee's. I don't know how far that gone.
Yes, me and Nat Lee and that same thing together.
You playing with me right now?
I play with you right
now.
Right? But I'm just saying, I don't care B, D, C, E, F, G, right? What I want to ask you though is, could you explain your thoughts about the NSRL tax?
That's why you're really here.
Yeah, that's why.
Because we did a video couple episodes back.
Yeah.
That we kind of botched it because we didn't know what we were talking about. And
it doesn't matter, I keep telling people, express how you feel about something.
Yeah, that's exactly what it was.
But it's only then that you either could be corrected or either then that you can actually correct. Mm-hmm. Because the more that the government hears people, they have to eventually take into consideration how people feel about it and probably make changes. Mm-hmm. If we were a different society, say Jamaica, certain changes would have been made to the NSRL.
Already. Mm-hmm.
But the NSRL itself, and I'll speak as balanced as I possibly can, given this platform especially, right? The NSRL, the government deems it as necessary because they've, in a couple of holes, they've been keeping up expenses, keeping everybody employed since they sent home people a couple years ago. And revenue has been short income, and a lot of people don't pay VAT on time, I should say. Mm-hmm. Number one. Number two, there's been a fall in economic activity in terms of us buying things as much as we would buy. Although some could argue during crop over, people didn't spend the money. But generally across the line, there's been drops in revenues for most corporations. And there's this belief out there that for some reason, tourism is our biggest business, when in fact it really isn't. The biggest business is retail.
Okay.
It's retail, which ties into tourism, because the tourists, of course, would partake in retail. But retail is how Barbados operates, right? This services, anything like that.
Right.
So that's been falling. So the VAT receipts that government's been collecting have been falling, and they haven't been collecting them on time. Mm-hmm. So they had to find some way, given they want to keep people employed, to get the revenue. They tried with, although I kind of might be shooting myself in the foot by saying this, but I'll be as honest as possible. They tried with the solid waste tax a couple of years ago, saying that it was for healthcare.
I knew it.
Yeah, they said it was healthcare, but the way how taxes work is that it goes into this thing called a consolidated fund. Think of a consolidated fund as your wallet, where you could put $100, say pay, because I pay Sharian for some work a couple months back. I pay Sharian $100. As it goes in her wallet, she could say to me, man, this here for skinotology, this here for some materials for skinotology. But as soon as it goes in the wallet, other things might come up.
It could be for anything.
So it ends up being for anything.
Right. Mm-hmm.
So, but fortunately for us, there's this thing called the estimates, which come up before the budget, right? And the estimates, I tell people, watch the estimates more than the budget. The budget is more of a talk shop than the estimates. The estimates would tell you what government can spend and how much they can spend. So when the money goes into your wallet, the consolidated fund, you should know, if you know the estimates, where possibly they can redirect this money.
Right.
So the solid waste tax from a couple years ago did not go to the hospital. It's known the hospital came out and said that they never said they didn't receive it. They said they were underfunded. That should not have been the situation. So the NSRL was brought up to really replace that. Where the solid waste tax was badly applied, and I know the scope of this whole thing is not to deal with that. It was badly applied. They figured, well, look, instead of charging a tax on land, because the solid waste tax was another form of land tax, we would just charge it to everybody and on retail, on consumption. So that has a number of advantages for the government. They can collect money quickly. They can collect money at multiple stages. From the time you land an item here in this country, they're collecting already. Right? Even more. And it would be passed on to the end consumer in the form of VAT. You get, unfortunately, this is one of my beasts for the NSRL, it initially wasn't supposed to increase the amount of VAT that would have been taken in, but I know my math, Shariah knows her math. And when I heard a friend of mine told me today on the way here, when I got off the football field and said where I was going, that you're the best math teacher in the country.
Oh, thank you.
And I ain't just saying it. It's just so that's why I can give my props.
Did he mention the fact that it was a scabby coat?
No. That didn't come up. We understand. we understand the
Man,
Shariah.
look, he lying. No. He better eye contact yet.
No.
Shariah didn't talk about you fat poor can't thing here. No, mind he.
But see that white girl look weird because I might look dumb.
NSRL.
I could NSRL. Norris, sexual, what RL?
Yes. Levy. Yes.
Well, you call you taxing for it, no?
Yes.
You call you taxisha again?
Yes.
Taxisha.
Yes.
But no,
I'm on in a bed, sir. I just veered. back to
that was my song, yeah. But yeah, so it had this unfortunate thing where it made VAT or will make or is making VAT more expensive.
We were right about that point.
Yeah, it would increase the VAT that is taken in. And this is why I asked Sharianne to do some math for me for the benefit of your viewers. Imagine if you had landed a $100 item in this country. It has a face value of 100 Bajan. I'm not even going to talk about the foreign currency commission that is coming in. Is in on cash already, but it will be on credit cards in a couple of weeks. September 1st, you got to pay 2%. No matter if you're importing something from Amazon, 2% more on top of that.
Jeez.
There's some extra duties that came on during the budget as well. Came on fuel, but assume none of those things exist. All you're doing is landing this $100 item.
Right.
And the only thing you have to pay on it is the NSRL. Imagine that. And VAT. The way how it works is that the NSRL is applied first. So that's 10%. It used to be 2%, but it's 10%. So your item, before anything, before you even pick it up, is worth $110. All right? Then you got to put VAT on top of that. So 17.5%, if I remember this correctly, this thing should go up to about $127.50 or about that, right? On top of it, when you apply the VAT on top, around there. So compare that to before where you had the NSRL. This is weird. No, I got to pull out the calculator.
Do your stuff. Up your
Yeah?
thing.
Let me just make sure I do this real fast. 1.175. So before, right? Because we had the NSRL for about a year or no. When you had the 2%, it would have been applied first on the 100, you would get $102, and then you apply the 17.5,
Right.
there's $119
Right.
that you would have to pay before you even clear the item, before you even consider transportation costs, which generally will go up because the price of oil is due to go up, and we pay more taxes on
Because
the
of the
price
same
of oil.
NSRL.
No. That's some people say, although I'm still not clear on it, that the NSRL will have an impact directly on fuel. I think it's more so the VAT, but then
Okay.
again, that's a little indirect. But more so, you should be worried about the duties on fuel, which went up by about 20 and 30%. Yeah, but a lot of people ain't arguing about that. But that's supposed to actually impact businesses generally. So even now, to pull away from this example for a bit, there are some people that felt great when the Minister of Finance came out and said 300 items will be left off the NSRL list. And they say, look, that ain't gonna make much difference. Because you still got the duties on fuel. All businesses. Right now, we're using fuel in here. Burning current. Indirectly through light and power, right? These same businesses would have to burn fuel. The price of oil, given all this uncertainty, will go up, but that's outside the scope of this. You, as a government, are taking more duties out of the customer's hands, out of consumers' hands at the pump, or even to use, we would say, wholesale fuel, so to burn current and all that stuff, right? Diesel gone up, everything gone up. And you telling me that, or you're giving the impression that these 300 items should remain at the same cost. No, it can't, because businesses as of July would have had on average a 8 to 10% increase in the cost of doing business.
Yeah.
Across the board.
Across the board.
Across the board. So they will raise the prices on these things.
Right.
It just wouldn't be as a result of the NSRL directly. Right? So that's what makes this thing a very destructive kind of tax. And then there's another situation where the NSRL might even be charged on items that are not popular, not the movers in the store. But if I paying this much before I clear the items, well, I could as well try to get the profits on something else that might be moving, but are not necessarily attracting the NSRL at the port.
Right.
Now, another thing that people seem to get confused about with respect to the NSRL is when it should be charged. It really should be charged at the point of production. That's one situation. And on imports. It should not be charged to you as a retail customer. So you shouldn't see on your receipt when you shop.
NSRL% or something.
You shouldn't see that.
Right.
It's not a sales tax.
Right.
It's a tax on production at best. It's a levy. So a levy is slightly different to a tax in terms of how it's applied. But the point is, it's applied at the point of production and importation, because one can assume that when you import something, it was manufactured overseas, and because I can't tax in America, for instance, I gotta tax it here.
So that's a back end procedure. That's something that happens because, for example, like people don't know your markup for certain products and stuff like
Agreed.
that. So you kind of just put it on and
yes, you get it. You get it early on the cost of production, because all right. So markup would only matter. I mean, you do business as well, from what I understand. Markup only matters when you at the point of retail or even wholesale. But at the point of importation, it can be taken that the landed cost is the manufactured cost of the item. Although in reality, it has a markup attached to it.
Yeah.
It has transportation costs attached to it. You get me? But the government's best take would be, at this point, I can get an importer. I can tax the importer a little more, because this is the best estimate of the cost of production of producing this item when it lands, right? Versus a manufacturer who might not be approved. Well, no, approved manufacturers can import the items and not attract NSRL. Import inputs. So, for instance, water, if it is that you are importing water to do some process, and you are an approved manufacturer, which is a status that the government gives you, you need to apply for it, you wouldn't have to pay the NSRL on your inputs. Okay. But that doesn't totally shield your business from the NSRL, because there might be inputs that you get
imported.
Locally. Not import that you get locally from manufacturers that have to, or wholesalers that have to charge you the NSRL.
Right.
So you can't. So in essence, it's a tax that nobody can get away from. Where, for instance, VAT, you have VAT-free items, or you have zero VAT items, right? Zero VAT rate. So zero-rated items, and you have VAT-free items. Generally, you can get away from VAT by consuming those items, and the markup would not be determined by the VAT that wasn't there in the first place. On the other hand, because the NSRL is charged so early on almost everything, everybody will feel the impact, even on items that are supposed to be NSRL free. Simply because I can't stop a businessman from saying this item moving too slow, but I pay the NSRL on this, so I can as well tack on an extra markup on this thing here to cover this. You can't stop it. You can't. So everybody will feel it. Everybody feel it.
Bottom line, from what I'm hearing, all the prices gonna go up.
They have. After September 1st, too. Remember, we didn't even talk about the 2% foreign exchange commission fee, which I think is actually one of the worst. Well, all right. To give Jack his jacket, they're trying their best to protect the foreign reserves. I know a lot of people hear about this foreign reserves thing, and just to make it very plain and simple for a lot of people, all banks have some form of U.S. dollars, not in a safe, but say it could be overseas in some corresponding account. So some Bank of America.
Virtually.
Yeah, well, think of it that
numbers
way. Say virtually
in a computer.
overseas, kept by Bank of America, or it could be kept in a vault, or it could be kept wherever. The Central Bank of Barbados has U.S. dollars kept. Some of it in the vault. I can't say how much because I don't want to give any indications. And the rest of it will be kept in accounts overseas at, say, a Bank of America, Merrill Lynch, Citigroup, wherever.
Right.
All right? That money is used for two reasons. And we thinking about the central bank. Commercial banks have their own, and they actually have more US dollars. Get it right, people. Have more US dollars than the central bank does have. So when you hear that the central bank is running low, don't think that all the US dollars in the country is running low. That's not the case. The commercial banks have more than enough. They're just businesses as opposed to the central bank, which is more like a government agency. So it would spend its money a little more freely, in a sense, than a commercial bank would. You can't get US dollars out of a commercial bank that easy. If you're not here, no. This is the rich one here. If the rich one decided she wanted $1 million US, wanting to send for some skinotology gear, right? Yeah, you gotta get the replay on that evidence, right? But if she wanted some skinotology gear, $1 million worth, and she wanted to send it overseas, she could go to the commercial bank and say, well, look, I want this $1 million, I want a draft, whatever. The commercial bank would say, but this thing like it linked to pussy, so we don't really want to risk our own funds. So what we would do, we would sell some Barbados dollars to the central bank and get US dollars off of them, and then use them to send out, like keep theirs.
Okay.
Right. So that's what the commercial banks have been doing for the last 3-4 years.
Okay.
Hence why, for the first time ever in Barbados' history, the commercial banks have more US dollars than the central bank.
Using the central bank one.
Mainly. But then there's another reason, the price of oil as well too. Because this country, we buy oil, well, the government buys oil for us and then it's distributed to the Sols and the Rubuses to sell. So what happens then is that the government uses the US dollars at the central bank to buy the oil. So when oil prices go up, that's when you should really get frightened. More so than anything else. If oil prices go back to $100, that's when the reserves in this country will have problems. So long story short, this is the reason why they put in 2%, to try to encourage us or discourage us from using up too much US dollars. Simple. But it has an effect that we have to be aware of. Because from the time you made it 2% more expensive to get US dollars, to purchase US dollars, you essentially have devalued the Barbados dollar because it takes more Barbados dollars to get that US dollars, right? And then it means, in virtue, all goods that are imported have gone up by at least 2% even before they land here.
Right. Yeah.
You follow me?
Yeah.
So the $100 good that used to land here $100 Bajan dollars at the exchange rate, rough exchange rate of 2 to 1.
Right.
No cost you 102. Straight off the bat.
And I ain't got nothing to do with all the things you talked about previously.
They got
and then you gotta put on the duties on top of that 102, and then you gotta put on the NSRL on the 102 because the NSRL is not on the duties so
then the VAT.
And then you gotta put the VAT on the total because VAT is on everything. So you charge.
And then
VAT
the brokers and still want heat piece.
Then the broker want heat piece. And then you gotta transport. Then you gotta put in storage costs.
Transport. If it's something big, you gotta pay delivery fee to get to your place.
And then on top of that, you got to, well, because most people didn't take advantage of the solar energy. Actually, forgot to mention this. There used to be incentives to buy your own solar panels, and those are no longer on the table.
The incentives?
Those incentives
they take
are
it
gone.
away?
They're gone.
Wow.
You don't get to write them off anymore. So that's already a disincentive against buying these things that can help you save on energy costs. So now, if you was a small business and you didn't take advantage there, you gotta expect that your light bill gonna be a little heavy on you in the coming months. So all this is why I'm telling you that across the board, everything has to go up.
Right.
Everything has to go up.